Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Riley Lewis Show. I am your host, Riley Lewis. As always, we have a lot to talk about today. Some very interesting things about the election, some more election talk. But first, I wanted to mention I know that I did a video recently about the Nickel Boys, which is a book by Colson Whitehead. I just want to say that I have just finished the book in its entirety, the prologue, all of the book, and the epilogue, and it was very well written, and I would definitely recommend this. This is a 2019 publication that talks about a reform school in Jim Crow era Tallahassee, Florida, in the 1950s and the 1960s, and it chronicles the story of some boys who are sent to this reform school and are really brutalized and abused, and it's a fascinating book, and it's very well written, and it's a well told story. So again, that is the Nickel Boys by Colson Whitehead. I highly recommend it. It's a very good read. Okay, and I will be covering that more in later videos. That said, I want to talk about the election today because the election is in November, and we're already in mid-July, or early mid-July, so the election's basically around the corner. Oh, sorry about that. I apologize. So the point is, the election is where was I? The election, right? So it's around the corner, and we've had a new player jump into the race, allegedly, Kanye West. You might be familiar with him as the producer, as the rapper and the singer, and as the husband of Kim Kardashian, but now you might come to know him as the first-time voter, first-time registered voter, and also presidential candidate, not for 2024, but that's right, for 2020. I'm not exactly sure if he's missed any deadlines, by the way, but he recently gave an interview with Forbes, and he's been doing a lot of other interviews, and a bunch of this news dropped on the 4th of July, and I'm sure that you were doing something more productive with your 4th of July weekend, like having fun, but this is what I was doing, so let me just give you the rundown really quickly from Forbes. So he's running for president under a new banner with some advice from Elon Musk, by the way, which is an interesting partnership. Let's just pause there. I mean, can you imagine Kanye West hanging out with Elon Musk? I can't imagine what they talk about. Actually, I can, and I'm sure it's very interesting and probably a lot about the simulation. That said, Kanye is running under a new banner called the Birthday Party, which is actually pretty funny. And he says that he's doing this to win, like anything else in his life. And while he was known for a long time as an avid Trump supporter, having met with Donald Trump several times in the White House, having advocated his support for the president, even as recently as a few months ago, he basically said that it's time to take the red hat off because he's losing faith in the president. And this is not to say that he has any more faith in Joe Biden, which is why he's running. He doesn't. So this is something that he had to said. This is something that Kanye West had to say to Forbes. He said, basically, on the note of taking away black votes from Joe Biden, something that Joe Biden really champions about himself, Kanye West had this to say, quote, "I'm not denying it. I just told you. To say that the black vote is democratic is a form of racism and white supremacy." This is probably obviously referring to at first glance, people might take that as a really, really, loaded statement, and it is. But what he's likely referring to is the fact that the Republican Party formed originally around abolition of chattel slavery, of people being owned as property and bought and sold. However, today the media would have you think that it was the Republican Party that enslaved people in some ways. In some ways, they've literally made statements about candidates in the past, such as Mitt Romney, to this effect, when really it was Southern Democrats who were actually holding people, as property. The Republican Party didn't form until the 1850s or 60s, after the Whig Party collapsed, and they the Republican Party formed around Abraham Lincoln and saving the Union, and eventually, not at first necessarily, but eventually abolishing slavery and passing the 13th Amendment. So, he's not wrong, technically, but that's definitely quite a statement to say. That said, he's also expressed his suspicions about the coronavirus, even though he said he had it in February. He's also said he's suspicious about any coronavirus vaccines. He's also suspicious about Planned Parenthood, and he's suspicious about a lot of other things, basically. But he said that right now he is speaking with experts. He's going to, quote, speak with Jared Kushner. He's going to speak with the White House, and he's going to speak with Biden, which makes me, I'm fascinated with what he's saying to these people. By the way, I don't know. I know he's been a longtime friend and confidant of the president, but I'm not really sure what he's going to say to Joe Biden. I'm not really sure what Joe Biden is going to say to him. But I think this is actually going to be a little bit funny. I also think it's funny that, of course, Elon Musk is involved in all of this, just because Elon has become really quite a strange figure in our culture in a lot of ways. He's brilliant in some ways, but he's definitely become, I don't want to say controversial because I don't like that term. I think that he's an interesting person with a lot to say, and in some ways, I think his opinions are based in paranoia. And it doesn't matter. Without getting hung up on Elon Musk, the point is, allegedly, Elon Musk and Kanye West have been talking about doing this for years. So I think that's very funny. And also, by the way, Kanye's running mate. We should talk about that, right? So he said to Forbes in this interview, an hour-long interview with Forbes magazine, that he is interested in picking a preacher from Wyoming, I believe where he has a residence. Her name is Michelle Tidball. She is a preacher from Wyoming. And by the way, just to revisit the birthday party idea, Kanye West said on the record about the birthday party name, quote, because when we win, it's everybody's birthday. So I guess this is the world that we live in now. I've said in previous episodes on my show, on my audio only podcast, which is streamed on Google, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, on Anchor FM, Breaker. I've said this on my show on those platforms that in the past that basically we're living in this. I don't think this is a democracy anymore. We're living in this very weird blend of like corporatist slash elitist slash technocratic slash bureaucratic slash TV show, reality show sort of world. And it's hard to tell the line now between what is reality and what is not reality. That line is increasingly being blurred with help from people, at some level from Donald Trump for sure, but also from people like Kanye West and Oprah even, who is mentioned occasionally running for president. So at this point, I mean, I might just run for president on my 35th birthday if it's an election year, just because why not, right? I mean, at this point, it seems like at this point, it's almost like the equivalent of buying a lottery ticket, like a $20 ticket. Why not? You just go into the convenience store, you buy a ticket. If you lose $20, you lose $20. But if you win, hey, you win a scratcher. It's fun. So, I mean, I might just wait. I'm 23 now, so I'll just wait another 12 years, and then I'll run for my 35th birthday if that's an election year. Just for fun, or the soonest election year to my 35th birthday, just for fun, right? At this point. In any case, Kanye West voiced his criticisms in this interview and basically said that he's going to take his MAGA hat off and that he's become frustrated with the president. That said, he's much more interested in criticizing Biden, and he really does bite his tongue when talking about Trump still. This is what he said, quote, "I'm not saying Trump's in my way. He may be a part of my way. And Joe Biden, like, come on, man, please, Obama's special. Trump's special. We say Kanye West is special. America needs special people that lead. Bill Clinton, special. Joe Biden's not special." Yikes. So I guess Kanye West thinks that he is more special than Joe Biden. Here's the thing about Joe Biden. The very thing that he ran his entire campaign on, all the way through the debate season, which was nasty, was this idea that he is going to have a return to normalcy, but also be progressive, and at the same time, he is experienced, and he's the only one on that stage there that is experienced, but we're reaching a point where it's like, we don't know confidently that he even remembers all of those experiences. And I really don't mean to be mean here or to poke fun, but at some point the human mind does decay. Let's face the music. That's just biology. That's reality. At some point, the human mind starts to decay. And if Joe Biden is elected, he will turn 80 in his first term. He will be the oldest president in US history if he is elected. So, yeah, I think it's fair to question whether or not he's exactly in the room. And electability was the thing that he was running on. He's experienced. He will return us to normalcy. You can trust him. He's not going to kowtow to corporations. He's going to be progressive. But also, he's forgotten Obama's name several times. And look, you can watch the clips. There's a countless number of clips of Joe Biden stuttering his way through sentences, and I'm not saying that because he actually once had a stutter. I'm saying because he's forgetting key details about his life, like what state he is in, who's in office now, exactly how long he's been in the Senate, who signed what bill, what the accomplishments and accolades are of his peers, where he is right now. There certainly is something going on. For sure. There absolutely is. And it wouldn't surprise me if there's something going on also with Donald Trump. Your mind you get that old, and I'm guessing on eating not a super duper healthy diet, then your mind is going to start to decay. Actually, and also more than anything, your genetics plays a huge role in this. So whether or not I say it's happening or not, someone's genetics will have everything to do with it. So regardless of whether or not it's true or not, or we debate it or not, genetics are genetics. And if someone is starting to decay as you get older, because that's the aging process, well, it's okay to point that out. And I also really don't like this dichotomy of, well, let's choose the lesser of two bad options. That's not really a situation I want to be in, and I'm really struggling to figure out what I'm going to do this November. I know this though. One of the themes, and I hope you guys leave me a comment in the comment section down below about this, one of the biggest themes for me is just restoring peace, non-violence. I don't want 4 years of tearing down statues, saying that we have to completely transition to an Orwellian newspeak and completely abandon all of our structures, institutions, language, and ideas of the past. I'm not interested in the violent uninvention of the United States. And if you looked at what happened in Seattle with the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, people put up walls, started checking IDs, made a list of demands. I don't want that happening in my communities for 4 years straight, and I don't firmly believe that Joe Biden would actually stop that. So at this point, I'm voting. I don't know if I'm voting at all. I know that this is a really important election, so I feel like I will vote at the end of the day, but honestly, I just really feel like I'm between a rock and a hard place. In any case, just a few more things about Kanye West, just to wrap this up, about the highlight today, which is Kanye West looks like he's running for presidency, which means if he takes away enough of the vote, independents, the African American vote, the white American vote from Joe Biden, then he might fracture the party enough to give Trump enough enough of a leeway to win. I don't really know what's going to happen, but that is a very likely situation. So here are some quotes that Forbes has provided that are really, really interesting that you can find online from Kanye West. Number one, here's one on his political party. Quote, "I would run as a Republican if Trump wasn't there. I will run as an independent if Trump is there." So he's going to run as an independent. Okay. On his previous support for Trump, Trump is the closest president we've had in years to allowing God to still be a part of the conversation. Interesting. On his MAGA hat moment, quote, "One of the main reasons I wore the red hat as a protest to the segregation of votes in the black community." Oh, one of the main reasons I wore the red hat, I guess, was as a protest to the segregation of votes in the black community. Also, other than the fact that I like Trump hotels and the saxophones in the lobby. Interesting. Okay. Now, on Democrats, quote, "This is a form of racism and white supremacy and white control to say that all black people need to be Democrat and to assume that me running is me splitting the vote. All of that information is being charged up on social media platforms by Democrats. Democrats used to tell me, the same Democrats have threatened me. The reason why this is the first day I registered to vote is because I was scared. I was told that if I voted Trump, my music career would be over. I was threatened into being into one party. I was threatened as a celebrity into being in one party. I was threatened as a black man into the Democratic Party. And that's what Democrats are doing emotionally to my people. Threatening them to the point where this white man can tell a black man, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. Referring to what Joe Biden said to Charlamagne the God, the podcast host of The Breakfast Club, when he was in New York, or I believe phoned in virtually to speak with Charlamagne the God. So let's just back up and talk about a little bit of what's going on here. So there is certainly a dynamic in the Democratic establishment that I think takes the African American vote for granted. And some time ago, maybe as far back as FDR, but really in the 1960s and 70s, you started to see the Democratic Party really advocate to youth overall, and really charge up their outreach. And I'm being really polite about the 1960s, which was really a period in many ways of actually open neo-Marxist anarchist movements that were resulted in a lot of destruction, a lot of crime, and a lot of terrible hardship for everybody. Of course, in the middle of in some places in Jim Crow era South still. So, in any case, Joe Biden had what some people are calling a Freudian slip. I think that he accidentally told the truth. And that is in an exchange with Charlamagne the God, who said that he still had concerns or questions about Joe Biden's platform. Joe Biden said, if you can't figure out if you're going to vote for me or for Trump, you are not black. Let's just think about something here. Joe Biden is a wealthy old white man. Charlamagne the God is a young African American person. Joe Biden told Charlamagne the God, you ain't black. There's nothing here to defend. There's no, oh, but in this context, that was the context. I think that Joe Biden accidentally told the truth. Because I think that for decades, he has taken the African American vote for granted. And Kanye West, I'm not going to assume that people will vote for Kanye West just because they're African American and he's African American, but any new player, including Kanye in this instance, could be a threat to that Democratic Party establishment and also to Donald Trump. So, look, I'm not thrilled with President Trump right now. I'm really not. I'm not super thrilled. But I'm also not thrilled with Joe Biden. I don't think either one of them really is appropriate, and I really am not eager about either one of them. So I feel like this is a complete catch-22 for me. That's where we'll leave it for today, folks. I appreciate your time. Thank you for listening to today's episode of The Riley Lewis Show. If you'd like to help me out because you enjoy my content and you want to support me, you can hit that big subscribe button down below. It always helps out. You can also like this video or leave me a comment in the comment section down below. I always appreciate your feedback. I look forward to hearing feedback because you guys are the big reason for why I am here and why I'm doing this. That said, The Riley Lewis Show is also available on Anchor.fm, Spotify, YouTube, right here on YouTube, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Breaker. So there are a number of different places to find me, a wide variety. You can also donate to my Anchor.fm virtual wallet, or you can visit the link in the description to my on my YouTube channel. You can visit my Patreon page. There's a link there on my YouTube channel to my Patreon page where you can sign up, become a member, and make a donation. So donating to my Patreon account, super helpful. Donating to my Anchor.fm virtual wallet, super helpful. Also, please subscribe, like this video, and leave me a comment. You've been listening to The Riley Lewis Show.